I'm here for people to hear my story so they're more educated on what's going on. It's on you to interpret it the way you will and believe what you want.
We decided to go on vacation after President Obama said it was safe to go in the water, that there wasn't a hazard at all, you know, everything was contained, so, you know, Coast Guard, EPA, everybody was on top of it, doing their jobs, you know, good old America, you know, we're going to handle that.
The dispersant was the best way, in their eyes, to get the oil out of our face, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. BP is ultimately responsible for this because they're the ones that put money over safety issues. So there's repercussions to that.
Get a few hours sleep, wake up the next morning, there's no flags flying. We ask people to get on the desk, they say it's safe. So we go in the water. My wife goes and Julie goes. Me and Merrick, I swam out midways, he swam out a little bit further than I did. And I swam for about an hour, you know, relaxed, and it was a good tide that day, bright, sunny, beautiful day, you know. There's people on the beach, kids playing, stuff like that, you know. I dove down to see how deep it was, you know. Bottom came back up, my wife had called me. Of course, Merrick was calling me, and he was telling me, come on out there further in the water, and I didn't want to, and a little fear of the water right there. And I swam back to my wife, and she noticed that I had this orange slime I was covered in. It was in my beard, it was in my hair. We made, you know, several attempts to remove it, but every time you touch it, it would just break off back into like spheres, like oil and water, you know, it just didn't mix. And we finally got it off of me. Merrick was out there for a little while longer while we were shining me off. He came back in, and since he was African American, it was a little bit harder to take off of him because, of course, that's in the nature of his hair.
You come on down to the beach. The water's safe. Just go take a swim. Tell me how you feel in a month.
30 days later, when I walked in, my skin was gray, and it had an orangish tint to it. I was urinating blood. I had completely soaked through my clothes, and the doctor's office is 5 minutes from the house. You know, they took me in, seen me right away, and they're like, man, what is going on? One of the nurses said somebody had showed up like that about a week ago, and they couldn't figure out what it was.
The entire Gulf region that's been affected by this. Every chance I got, I would ask people, you know, what do y'all hear about the oil spill, you know? $25,000 worth of bills right here. All of this, MRIs, and this is paperwork that hadn't even made it in there yet.
Everything was either critically highs or critically lows in my blood. It was just like something ran through on a warpath.
You can't get the oil out of the water at this point, but you can send somebody down here that's going to fix the people that are sick. Other than that, I don't know how to fix it, you know? Money doesn't fix health. It just makes you forget about problems. So money doesn't fix it. We need doctors down here, ASAP.
Facebook, I either got, it's blowing up with people that are sick coming to me, and they're asking me, where do you get your help? Who's helping you? Who's treating you? How can we get help? What should we do?
This is my life. It's me that's going to die, and it's you that's going to continue to say that you don't believe it's going on. There's at least 50,000 people that know that it's going on, and those are the people that are sick.
And what it came back on my blood test was whatever I came in contact with knocked out my immune system to the point where if I would receive a cut, that there was no platelets left to cause a blood clot left in my body.
If you mention BP, the doctor visit's over with. And if you don't believe that, go into any hospital down here and say that you're affected from the oil spill and watch what happens. It's all there for you to test the theories.
I remember the last text I got, he texted me and he says, are you going to live? And I said, I don't know. I said, are you? He says, I don't know either. And of course, you know, doctors, they're not trained for it. You have, I mean, how do you show up and say, I think I'm chemically poisoned? But I tell you what, that was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life, was going to my best friend's funeral and then being poisoned and sick at the time of it. Was just mind blowing.
Anybody that I've ever spoken to that didn't know about this was just appalled.
It could be just like we are now, and 10 minutes from now, it'll just look like I'm in mid-July doing training for the New Orleans Saints. You know, running up and down a Superdome, you know, and still have a body core temperature of 98.6 degrees. You know,
my first symptoms after the flu-like symptoms went away was back pain and brown urine. And that back pain doesn't go away. It's like that every time I wake up. The stomach cramps are there every time I wake up. And the new things that are going on is it feels like I'm sitting on a tennis ball because my prostate's enlarged. And I have a mass that is in my scrotum next to my left testicle that's about the size of my left testicle now. 2 weeks ago it was half the size of my left testicle.
Everybody knows like we are not capable of thinking for ourselves by a bigger government who's just got 20 billion sitting in an account drawing interest. And I think what we're at the stage we're at now is interest in America is more important than lives in America. People should never be afraid of their governments. The government should be afraid of the people. We have the power. All we have to do is come together and exercise our authority. And then we could put an end to this right now and start putting a salvation to this.
Because I didn't get the assistance in a timely manner, it has progressed so far in my body that I can't have kids. You know, if they would have just bit the bullet 10 months ago and said, okay, this guy is sick, we knew this was going to happen, because certainly they knew health problems would come from this.
Alright, you know, you pissed in the pool's dirty, let's clean it, you know, and if anybody's sick by it, help them. You know, but they're going to keep putting it off, they're going to spend all this money in advertisement, and the truth's still going to break because people are dying.
My DNA's been mutated. I've got an enlarged prostate, and I've got a mass in my scrotum, and God knows what else. In 1 year.
There was a couple who stayed at the same hotel we did, about 4 to 6 days before we did. Came in contact with the same substance. This guy has spent $80,000 so far on medical treatment. They still cannot tell him what is killing him. He's leaking blood out of his nose, he's leaking blood out of his ears.
I think the only thing that's going to fix this is for the great leaders in our country to finally open their eyes and say, okay, it's time to stop hiding the fact that BP has completely screwed up the Gulf of Mexico, and we as a country that made the decision to put dispersant like Corexit on top of this oil, yeah, we dropped the ball too again, and I'm sorry about that, but this is what we're going to do. We've got a team of, I don't know, let's just go with 1,000 doctors that already know what your problems are, and they're coming down there to fix you free of charge. Because this is not your fault. We used the Gulf of Mexico as a chemistry lab and used you fine people as guinea pigs.
I happened to take one person from Mississippi, well, 2 from Mississippi, 2 from Louisiana, go to a 3rd location, and then everybody's either sick, dead, or dying. I mean, it doesn't take geniuses to figure out what is going on.
You can be a believer, and you can help, or you can brush it under the rug and press on with your life. We don't care if you don't believe. We need doctors. We need the doctors to believe, and we need our president to believe.